What if the oldest sacred architecture ever conceived by humankind is not in ruins on land, but intact beneath the sea? Beneath the turbid, sediment-heavy waters of the Gulf of Cambay, Khambat, off the western coast of Gujarat, India, lie submerged stone formations that have become one of the most provocative subjects in modern marine archaeology. Identified through large-scale oceanographic surveys, these structures, widely referred to as the remains of a 9,000-year-old temple of Krishna, challenge conventional timelines of religious architecture and early civilization. In a region dominated by strong tidal currents and near-zero underwater visibility, side-scan sonar and seismic imaging have revealed rectilinear foundations, sharply angled stone blocks, and linear arrangements that strongly suggest deliberate human construction rather than random geological activity. If these forms are natural, then nature itself was building like an architect thousands of years before history began. High-resolution sonar imagery has documented extensive geometric patterns on the seabed, stepped terraces, straight walls, and platforms aligned along consistent axes. Such features stand in stark contrast to the chaotic morphology typical of submerged rock formations shaped by erosion. Archaeologists note that the apparent symmetry and repetition of these elements reflect principles commonly associated with intentional design, raising fundamental questions about the technological and organizational capabilities of early Holocene societies. The scale of the site further complicates purely natural explanations, as the structures extend across several kilometers of the seabed. To understand what lies underwater, one must first imagine a coastline that no longer exists. During the final stages of the last ice age, the Gulf of Cambay was not a gulf at all, but a vast coastal plain intersected by river systems and fertile lowlands. As global temperatures rose and ice sheets melted, sea levels increased dramatically between 10,000 and 7,000 years ago, inundating large expanses of human-inhabited terrain. Geological reconstructions confirm that areas now submerged beneath Cambay were once habitable landscapes, making the presence of early settlements not only plausible, but likely. The submergence of monumental structures would have been sudden on a cultural timescale, leaving little opportunity for preservation on land. What kind of society builds temples before the dawn of recorded history? Artifacts recovered from sediment layers associated with the submerged structures include stone tools, pottery fragments, and fossilized remains of wood and plant material. Radiocarbon dating of select samples has yielded ages reaching deep into the early Holocene, predating the Indus Valley civilization by several millennia. While the association between these materials and the architectural remains remains contested, their antiquity alone suggests sustained human activity in the region, far earlier than previously acknowledged. If the temple hypothesis holds, it implies a community capable of ritual expression, spatial planning, and symbolic architecture long before agriculture and urbanism were thought to be widespread in South Asia. When myths speak of cities swallowed by the sea, archaeology listens carefully. The proposed identification of the site with Krishna's temple draws heavily from ancient Indian epics, which describe the legendary city of Dwarka as having been consumed by the ocean. Archaeology does not treat myth as evidence, yet it recognizes that oral traditions can preserve distorted memories of real environmental events. The convergence of textual descriptions, geological data, and underwater structural evidence creates a rare interdisciplinary intersection where mythology may echo historical sea level rise and coastal collapse. This does not confirm the legend, but it prevents its dismissal. Few places on Earth are as hostile to excavation as the Gulf of Cambay. Despite its archaeological promise, the site presents extraordinary technical challenges. Powerful tides, fast-moving currents, and thick layers of suspended sediment make conventional diving operations nearly impossible. As a result, most data has been obtained through remote sensing, sediment sampling, and indirect analysis rather than direct excavation. Critics argue that without in situ verification, interpretations remain speculative. Proponents counter that advances in marine archaeology increasingly rely on non-invasive technologies, especially in environments where traditional methods are impractical or unsafe. If confirmed, this site would not merely extend history, it would rearrange it. The implications of a 9,000-year-old submerged temple are profound. It would suggest that complex social organization, ritual architecture, and possibly even proto-urban planning emerged independently along ancient coastlines, long before the rise of river-based civilizations. Such a discovery would require scholars to reassess long-held assumptions about the origins of religion, monumentality, and cultural complexity. It would also underscore the role of climate change as a powerful force shaping and erasing early human achievements. How many civilizations vanished without ruins, erased not by war, but by water? The submerged temple of Krishna stands as a reminder that archaeology is constrained not only by what survives, but by what remains accessible. Vast portions of humanity's early story may lie hidden beneath rising seas, preserved in silence on the ocean floor. Whether the structures of the Gulf of Cambay ultimately prove to be a temple, a settlement, or something entirely unexpected, they compel us to look beyond the shoreline for answers. In doing so, they invite a humbling realization. The earliest chapters of human civilization may not be written in stone on land, but sealed beneath the waves, waiting to be rediscovered.
Unbelievable. It's exactly where the text said it would be.
the treasury area. Niches in the walls suggest where gold might have been stored. Now,
the treasure is revealed, the carbon-dated wood and the sheer scale of the city, proving the antiquity of